The courtroom smelled like polished wood and quiet judgment. Everything about it felt heavy. The walls, the silence, even the air seemed to press down on my chest, as if reminding me that every word spoken here carried consequences. I sat at the plaintiff table, my hands folded neatly, my back straight, my face calm. Across from me, he looked confident, too confident, like a man who believed he had already won. My husband, or at least, that is what he still was on paper. For now, he leaned toward his lawyer, whispering something that made both of them smile. That small detail mattered, because people only smile like that when they think the truth is on their side, or when they believe they can control the narrative. Have you ever watched someone rewrite your entire story while you are still standing there? If that ever happened to you, comment number 1 below. I read every single one. The judge entered. Everyone stood. Routine, formal, predictable. But what was about to happen was anything but predictable. Be seated, the judge said. Papers shuffled. Chairs moved. Silence returned. Case number 1847, the clerk announced. My name, his name, tied together one last time. His lawyer stood first. Confident posture, measured tone. Your Honor, he began, this is a straightforward case. That word again. Straightforward. People use it when they want to simplify something complex, or when they want to control how it is perceived. My client, he continued, placing a hand lightly on my husband's shoulder, is a successful businessman who has worked for years to build his financial stability. A pause. Strategic. And unfortunately, he is now facing a situation where his spouse is attempting to claim assets she had no role in creating. There it was. Clean. Sharp. Public. I did not move, did not react. Because reacting too early gives away position. She has no independent income, he added. Irrelevant contributions. No financial standing. Each sentence landed like a brick, carefully placed, designed to build a wall where I looked small, dependent, replaceable. I glanced briefly at my own lawyer. She did not react, either. Good. That meant we were aligned, because this was not the moment to interrupt. This was the moment to let them speak, to let them build their version fully, because the higher they build it, the harder it falls. My client simply seeks to protect what is rightfully his, the lawyer concluded. He sat down, satisfied. My husband exhaled slowly, as if releasing tension he did not need to carry, because in his mind, this was already over. The judge turned slightly. Defense, he said. My lawyer stood. No rush, no unnecessary movement, just calm precision. Your Honor, she began. The plaintiff's argument relies heavily on one assumption. Just evade. She paused, just long enough, that my client has nothing. Silence. A different kind now. Focused. Intent. That assumption, she continued, is incorrect. A subtle shift, barely visible, but real. The judge leaned forward slightly. Proceed, he said. My lawyer nodded. Then placed a folder on the table. Not thick, not dramatic, just enough. Before discussing claims, she said, we would like to submit verified documentation regarding asset ownership. Today, my husband frowned, just slightly. Confusion. The first crack. His lawyer leaned over quickly, whispering something. Urgent. Controlled. But I saw it. That moment when certainty begins to slip. The documents were handed to the clerk. Then to the judge. Paper. Ink. Facts. Things that do not change based on opinion. The judge adjusted his glasses. Began reading. Slowly. Carefully. The room was silent. No whispers. No movement. Just the sound of pages turning. And then, a pause. Small, but everything changed in that pause. The judge looked up, directly at me, then back at the documents, then again, At him, counsel. The judge said slowly, "Can you clarify something for the court?" My husband's lawyer stood immediately. "Yes, Your Honor." The judge tapped the paper lightly. "These assets listed here," he said. "Are you aware of them?" A hesitation. "Tiny, but visible. We are aware of the marital assets." The lawyer replied carefully. The judge shook his head slightly. "No," he said. "I am referring to the primary holdings." Another pause. Longer now, because uncertainty had entered the room. "These companies," the judge continued, reading directly, "are registered under one name." Silence. Heavy, unavoidable. He looked up again, and this time, there was no ambiguity. "That name," he said, "is hers." Everything stopped, not physically, but internally, because reality had just shifted. Completely. "That is not possible," my husband said suddenly. Too fast, too loud, too emotional. The judge raised a hand slightly. "Control yourself," he said. But it was already too late. Because once doubt is visible, it spreads. My lawyer stepped forward slightly. "Your Honor," she said, "we have provided full documentation, including incorporation records, investment structures, and acquisition agreements. Each word precise, each word final. These entities," she continued, "were established, funded, and expanded solely under my client's direction." My husband stared at me. Not angry, not yet, lost, because the version of me he believed in no longer existed. "You said you had nothing," he whispered. I met his gaze, calm, steady. "I said you never asked," I replied. That line landed harder than anything else, because it was true. And truth, when delayed, becomes impact. The judge continued reviewing. More pages, more confirmations, layer after layer, until there was nothing left to question. "Based on the evidence presented," he said finally, "the court recognizes that the majority of the disputed assets are not owned by the plaintiff." A pause. Deliberate. "They are owned by the defendant." Final. Clear. Unavoidable. The entire foundation of his case collapsed in a single sentence. His lawyer sat down slowly. No more arguments. No more confidence. Because there was nothing left to defend. My husband leaned back in his chair, staring forward, trying to process, recalculate, recover. But some moments cannot be recovered. This was one of them. "For the record," the judge added, "any claims regarding financial dependency are unsupported." That mattered, because it did not just dismiss his argument. It reversed it. Completely. I felt nothing. No satisfaction. No relief. Just clarity. Because this was never about winning. It was about ending something that should not have existed in the first place. The judge moved on to procedural details. Next steps. Timelines. Legal structure. But none of that mattered anymore. The outcome was already decided. Not by opinion, by fact. When the session ended, people began to move again. Chairs. Voices. Noise returning to the room. My husband stood slowly, still looking at me. "Why?" he asked. Same question, different weight. "Because," I said, "you believed I was nothing." A pause, and I needed you to see the truth. Not for revenge. Not for validation. For closure. He shook his head slightly. "I did not know you," he said. I nodded. That was the problem. I picked up my bag, turned, walked toward the exit. Each step steady, measured, final. Behind me, I could feel it. The shift, the understanding, the realization that everything he thought he controlled was never his. And that is the real lesson. Not everyone who looks quiet is powerless. Not everyone who says little has nothing to say. Sometimes they are simply waiting for the right moment, the right place, the right truth to speak for itself. And when it does, there is nothing left to argue.